Imagine a country where silence once replaced laughter, where schools became prisons, and where the soil still whispers the cries of the dead. This is not a dystopian novel. This is Cambodia, and this is the story of the killing fields. A fragile nation on the brink. Before the horror, Cambodia was a small, proud kingdom struggling through post-colonial growing pains. In the 1960s, under Prince Norodom Sihanouk, Cambodia tried to remain neutral during the Cold War, but the Vietnam War crept across its borders, dragging Cambodia into geopolitical chaos. Rise of the Khmer Rouge. In 1970, a coup ousted Sihanouk, and Cambodia descended into civil war. Emerging from the jungle, a group of radical Marxists called the Khmer Rouge, led by the enigmatic Pol Pot, gained ground. By 1975, they seized Phnom Penh. What followed was one of the most horrifying genocides in modern history. The Khmer Rouge declared a new beginning. They called it Year Zero. Everything that existed before, education, religion, money, even family, was to be wiped clean. The goal, a pure, classless, agrarian society. The reality, mass death, starvation, and fear. Cities emptied. In April 1975, the Khmer Rouge forced 2 million residents of Phnom Penh and other cities to leave their homes. They walked for days with no food or water. Elderly, sick, pregnant, no one was spared. Cities became ghost towns overnight. Who were the targets? The regime targeted anyone associated with the old society. Intellectuals, doctors, teachers, monks, people with glasses, people who spoke foreign languages, ethnic minorities like the Vietnamese and Cam Muslims. Even Khmer Rouge officials themselves were eventually purged. The killing fields. Across Cambodia, execution sites were established. These are now known as the killing fields. Prisoners were often bludgeoned to death to save bullets. Infants were killed by striking them against trees. Entire families disappeared overnight. S21, the torture center. Tool slang, known as S21, was a school-turned-torture prison. Over 17,000 people passed through its gates. Only a handful survived. Victims were interrogated for weeks, forced to confess imaginary crimes, and then sent to die. Propaganda and paranoia. The Khmer Rouge controlled all communication. Propaganda posters filled villages. Radios were banned. Trust disappeared. Children were taught to spy on their parents. Fear became the air Cambodians breathed. Hunger and hard labor. Everyone was forced to work, from sunrise to sunset. Men, women, and children toiled in rice fields, digging canals, building dams. With little food and no rest, millions starved to death. Bodies piled up in the countryside. Culture erased. Books were burned, temples destroyed, art forbidden. Even traditional Khmer music was silenced. A civilization that had built Angkor Wat was reduced to dust. The regime tried to erase centuries of identity. How did the world react? At first, the world was silent. Many countries, including the United States and China, supported the Khmer Rouge diplomatically after the Vietnamese invasion. It took years for the full horror to be revealed. Journalists were killed or expelled. The genocide happened largely in the dark. The fall of Pol Pot. In 1979, Vietnam invaded Cambodia and overthrew the Khmer Rouge. Pol Pot fled to the jungle. The country was devastated. Infrastructure, trust, and families were all shattered. Recovery would take generations. Justice delayed. It wasn't until decades later that the Khmer Rouge Tribunal was established. Some top leaders were tried and convicted. Pol Pot died in 1998, never having faced justice. Many survivors still carry the burden of silence. Survivors speak. In recent years, survivors have begun to share their stories. People like Long Ung, author of First They Killed My Father, have shed light on the resilience of the Cambodian spirit. Museums, memorials, and oral histories now preserve their truths. Lessons for humanity. The killing fields are not just Cambodia's tragedy. They are a warning to the world about ideology unchecked, about dehumanization, about the cost of silence. Cambodia's darkest hour reminds us, never again must mean something, remembering and healing. Today, Cambodia is rebuilding. Young people dance again. Monks chant. Students study history in classrooms, but the scars remain. Healing is slow. Memory is fragile. Yet, remembrance is resistance. The legacy of trauma. PTSD and generational trauma still affect millions of Cambodians. Many cannot talk about what happened. Others live with ghosts. But community programs, education, and global solidarity help slowly restore broken spirits. A country of resilience. Despite the horrors, Cambodians are not defined by their suffering. They are defined by their strength. A land of temples and rice paddies, of laughter and lotus flowers, continues to rise from the ashes. Visiting the killing fields today. Visitors to Cambodia can pay their respects at sites like Chuang, Ek, and Tuol Sleng. These are not tourist attractions. They are sacred spaces, places of grief, of learning, and of promise to the dead. We will not forget. Final reflection. The killing fields are not just about death. They are about the danger of forgetting. When power becomes absolute and truth is silenced, this is what happens. Cambodia calls out to the world, remember us, remember the silence, and break it. This was the story of the killing fields. May the world never see another. If this moved you, share this video, follow our channel, and help keep memory alive. For Cambodia, for justice, for humanity.